Tune in to Wildcats Radio 1290 for the biggest pregame show in the Pac-12. Because that's how we roll. We go on the air 4 hours before every football and men's basketball game all season long. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station.
We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona football, along with Arizona football play-by-play. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip
With your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
featuring J.W. Madden,
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata,
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
and Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
And now,
A man who has not one, but three first names.
David Scott Kelly.
Oh, boy. Something happened to Dragon Ball already. He's already going on the IR over there. What just happened?
I was trying to roll my chair back over and it caught the carpet, and now the arm hit me in the kidney there.
Oh man. We've already heard one too many kidney stories this week.
Yeah, kidneys are in the news these
Oh
days.
my goodness. Yeah, if you're watching on any of our streaming platforms, you're watching right now an injured Dragon Ball. He's ready though. He's ready because it is that time of the year. Pure lock and load, baby. Pure lock and load. I mean, there are many. That's my quarterback. It's not fair. Everybody grabbing out there. Grab. There's a gleam, men. There's a gleam. Let's get the gleam. It is time for the National Football League. The moment we have been waiting for since February is here. NFL football starts tonight, and you can hear it right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. I told you, Dragon Ball's ready. I'm going to go to his single shot there, show him he's got the jersey on. He's sporting the black and the gold. Oh, mama, I can feel the banner from the long arm of the Lord. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and it don't have very long. I hate that song.
I know you do.
I hate
Everybody
that
hates that song.
My God. I just remember them playing that song at the only Browns postseason game I ever went to. I believe it was like 2001
2002.
or 2, something like that. Dennis Northcutt, U of A football class, had a chance to seal the game. All he had to do was catch a third down pass from Kelly Holcomb.
Well, to
And
be fair,
the Brown-
Kelly Holcomb
and the-
did not lead him to the sideline. That was an inside throw. Holcomb should have thrown it outside,
Oh.
and Dennis did not have enough get up and go to get up off the ground and then reach for the sideline. That's on Kelly.
Okay, if you want to say that.
Of course, you could have also stopped Fu on the 1 yard line.
Yeah. Browns blew a double-digit fourth quarter lead in Pittsburgh.
Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, that was not a good night. That was not a good night whatsoever. But we've got National Football League action on our air, and we've also are debuting something new on Thursdays. Now, this will be a short show every Thursday because we carry Thursday Night Football. The broadcast starts at 4:30, so we're only with you for an hour and a half. But we are debuting today Wildcats Radio 1290 Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. All right? Later this hour, we're going to take the fifth caller at 520-848-1290. Not right now. Later this hour, the cue to call. I'll let you know it's going to come up around 3:40. We're going to give you the cue to call, and the fifth caller is going to have a chance to pick a game of the week against me. I'll pick the game. You'll get the first choice of the two teams. And if you win, you are going to win a $25 Miller Lite gift pack. Now, here's what happens. If my team wins, then the prize rolls over to next week in week 2. So if I win, then next week you're playing for a $50 Miller Lite gift pack. How about that right there? So that's coming up this hour. The first game of the year, Detroit at Kansas City. That is our question of the day today. Dragon Ball, tell them the stat you threw out there yesterday.
Well, since Patty Mahomes, has taken over the starting job for the Kansas City Chiefs going back to 2018, Patrick Mahomes has never thrown an interception on opening day for the Chiefs. He's thrown a couple of 3, 4, even a 5-touchdown game, but he's never thrown an interception on week 1 of the season. And Andy Reid has been quite possibly, I would think a lot of people will argue he's one of the best bye-week coaches, where after coming out of the bye week, he's got a very strong record. He's also got a very good record in opening day games as well. So between Andy Reid's coaching and Patrick Mahomes' decision-making, is it possible that the Lions finally get the better of old Patty and get a pick on opening day?
All right, so that is our question of the day. The NFL returns tonight, Detroit and Kansas City. You'll hear it right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Will Patrick Mahomes throw an interception tonight? Head on over to our Twitter page at Wildcats 1290. You can vote there. Also on our Facebook page, you can leave a comment to it at Wildcats Radio 1290. Right now, 100% of the people are saying that Pat Mahomes will not throw an interception tonight. Patrick Mahomes. Pat was his daddy. He goes by Patrick. 100%. I'm going to say the Lions are going to get one tonight. I think the Lions will get one tonight.
I think the
Dan
Lions have a
Campbell's
chance.
defense.
The Lions have a chance to get a forced fumble from Patrick Mahomes. I don't know about an interception. They got a
Right.
very weak defensive backfield going into this season.
Did you guys know that Patrick Mahomes is third all time in interception percentage? Aaron Rodgers being number 1,
And
Jacoby Brissett being number 2.
Really?
Yes, and Patrick Mahomes being number 3 all time.
And that's when you say interception percentage, that's on the low end, the low.
Correct.
Inch.
The number of interceptions per 100, basically. So he's at 1.46%. So that's, basically less than 2 per 100 tosses.
Jacoby Brissett is number 2
Second.
all time.
He only had 1,577 attempts. So his attempts are a little lower than some of the other guys on this list. Tom Brady, for instance, would you believe it, 5th, although he attempted 12,000 passes in his NFL career. Patrick Mahomes, right about 3,000 right now.
Where's Brett Favre on that list? Because he threw a lot.
Too far down to find. Too far down on the list to find. Kyler Murray, though, 16th all time. Joe Burrow, 14th all time.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Got some young guns
Russell
in there.
That's
Wilson.
interesting. Like who? So give me an old guy that's on the list.
Well, the oldest guys who are no longer in the league, Colin Kaepernick, believe it or not, 6th all time. Carson Wentz is in here. Alex Smith, Neil O'Donnell, Jeff Garcia, Drew Brees. Drew Brees, obviously,
God.
like the highest volume you're going to get, you're going to look at a little bit more, especially those guys who try to sneak into those tight spots. So Drew Brees is at 2.3 interceptions per 100.
Jeff
Neil
Garcia.
O'Donnell's on that list. Where was that kind of statistic when it was in the Super Bowl,
Right?
man? Larry Brown was in his own area code when he got those
Neil
things.
O'Donnell.
Ben Roethlisberger threw 211 interceptions in 8,443 attempts.
That's pretty good. What's that percentage?
That percentage is 2.5. So
Oh, wow.
he is 41st all time, right ahead of Andrew Luck.
Okay.
Ben doing a good job of taking care of the football there.
Sometimes,
Sometimes, right?
Sometimes that's one of those no, yes, no moments.
Yeah, with Ben though, you really want to look at how many times he fumbled per times he was hit.
Yeah.
by a because he has to be number one all time.
I mean, he's taking a lot of hits with that big 6'+ frame. If you guys would be launching themselves trying to land on his back every single play.
All right, our 2 games this week. We mentioned Detroit at Kansas City. That's tonight. We'll have the Cowboys and the Giants on Sunday night. So those will be our 2 games every week, Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football. Obviously, we have Jedd Fisch on Monday nights, so we do not carry Monday Night Football here on Wildcats Radio 1290. So just Sunday and Thursday. We also will have, we don't carry any day games on Sunday, but we will have those Sunday morning games that are going to be in Europe. Those will be coming up in October. So you'll also have a chance to listen to those games right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Lots in store for you today in a short, compacted show. Brian Jeffries is going to join us coming up in this hour. Kelvin Ifan will be our Arizona Insider. We'll move that up to 4 o'clock today. Jedd Fisch spoke today. We'll play you a little bit of that press conference. It's a busy night for Arizona athletics. We've got soccer at home against Texas Tech. That'll be a 7 o'clock start over at Murphy Mulcahy. The volleyball team is on the road and playing Wisconsin tonight. And JW, you said Wisconsin is number 1 in the country?
That's what Dragon Ball said. And I was like, hey, when did that happen? When did Wisconsin get so good at volleyball? But yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe the cold weather states up there. Obviously, Indiana famous for its, basketball tradition, not too much to do for 6 months out of the year. You basically have the gym or shoveling snow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's got to be something along those same lines.
All right, that game is on FS1. So I am repealing my ban on Fox. For tonight, I said I would repeal my ban on watching anything that's on Fox if it involved the Arizona Wildcats. So
you did say that.
You can watch FS1 tonight because the Wildcats are going to be playing on national TV. This might be the first time that I can ever remember an Arizona volleyball game being on national television.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but Wisconsin, 61 out of a possible 63 number 1 votes in volleyball. So this is a team that a lot of people say this is the creme de la creme when it comes to volleyball in the nation. 5-0 on the year. So Arizona has a chance to go ahead and shock the world.
And they're not just number 1. I mean, they got 61 first place votes.
Yeah, 61 out of 63.
Yeah, so they are an overwhelming number 1 this season. Louisville, number 2. Florida, number 3. Nebraska, who played in front of 90,000 plus people a few weeks ago, they got 1 first place vote. Florida got the other 2 first place votes. So the Wildcats will have their hands full tonight when they go on the road to take on the number 1 ranked Wisconsin Badgers in that tournament there. I believe I'll have to pull up the schedule who the other team is. I believe they're playing another good team in the 2 games that they'll play at this tournament. All right, so that's what we've got coming up for you. Also, again, our Pigskin Challenge. We're going to pick a game. That'll be in the bottom half of this hour. I'll give you the game. Caller number 5 will have a chance to pick against me. And if you win, you're going to win a $25 Miller Lite gift pack. How about that? And if you don't win, then it rolls over to next week, and it's $50 for somebody to have a chance to pick an NFL game and beat me. Joining us now, the 4th member of our program, it is Cricket.
Afternoon.
Okay, Cricket, do you have any NFL jerseys at home? Do you have a team that you know?
I don't own a jersey.
No, do you have any jerseys? Like, do you have any kind of jersey at all? Like, even like an actor or a group or anything like that? You have any group jerseys, like music groups?
The radio station I used to work at, they made us radio station jerseys that had the U of A logo on. I mean, this was more than 20 years ago.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And that was just one of the shirts that I kept that I thought was so cool,
So did they put a number on it for you, or?
Those were our baseball jerseys,
Okay.
but our like U of A like that looks like jerseys, but they had the radio station logo and the A, which I don't know if they had permission to do that. I don't know if they should have done that.
Well, you got to bring that in.
That was like
you still
20
have it though.
I'm sure that was one
so
thing
you
that
gotta
I did.
bring that in
Yeah.
next week and wear that so we can see what it looks like. Because I
But
imagine.
no, I can't. The other radio station.
Oh, that's right. It's another radio station group.
Yes.
I see. We can't. Well, as long as we don't show their logo, I'm sure we could just see the jersey, right?
I got to dig it out. That was one thing I kept.
Okay. So were you ever into merch? Or you a merch? 'Cause that's the thing now. Well, once again, another word we've shortened in our lives. Merchandise is now merch.
Mm-hmm.
Were you like when you went to concerts, did you have to buy merch when you were there?
When I was much younger,
Okay.
Motley Crue or, when the concerts were here
Yeah.
at the TCC, the shirts were probably like $9?
When you
or
asked,
less?
the first thing came to my head was like a Gene Simmons like full Kiss getup or something to that effect.
like an Aerosmith shirt,
Right.
like a really cool classic rock T-shirt. I would buy that kind of merch. But if I go to a concert now, I'm too old and I don't want to stand in line. I'm like, that line is forever long. I'm not buying that shirt.
And it's like $40 for that T-shirt
Yeah,
now. It's
exactly.
some crazy, outrageous number.
You don't want to
All
know
right.
how much merch costs for the things
The-
the hobbies that I'm involved.
The
in.
Comic-Con?
Yeah, the Comic Con.
Comic-Con
You
merch?
can get like a little plastic figurine that sometimes will go for like $200. So trust me, it's
The difference
not
there,
easy.
though, is simple: is that there's sports fans that go to arenas and they're sports fans, so they buy jerseys.
Yes.
Collectors at Comic Cons, they're just the collecting is the whole point
Yes.
of that. So therefore, obviously, there's going to be a lot of items that are more scarce and therefore more valuable, and that's the whole point. The whole point is trading rare items in that
Yes.
in that field.
All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Let's turn it over to Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Reported collisions Valencia and Palo Verde, Twin Peaks and Silver Bell with some southbound slowing on Silver Bell at Twin Peaks. Stalled vehicle 22nd Street and Country Club, and a lane restriction and some slowdowns on northbound First Avenue approaching Wetmore. 76 and partly cloudy overnight, and 106 tomorrow, mostly sunny, 103 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
2020 Sports.
Jeff Fish spoke with the press today as he looked forward to taking the Wildcats on a challenge against Mississippi State. He had a lot of high praise for the defense during their practices this week.
I know that our defense is certainly really excited about the chance to play this team and do everything they possibly can to continue the way they played last week. I thought they did a great job swarming the ball, playing with great effort, playing with great, really tenacity. So looking forward to seeing them. Expect everybody to be able to play on defense, Stoops being day-to-day, but everybody else should be all good there. We obviously know Gunner will miss the first half.
Again, Arizona will be traveling out to Starkville to take on the Bulldogs on Saturday. Kickoff slated for 4:30 Arizona time. Raiders defensive lineman Chandler Jones has had an interesting few days with his team as he was unable to get into team facilities to work out on an Instagram story he posted. But now it appears the team also sent the crisis team to Jones's house after the incident went public. Head coach Josh McDaniels has said that the situation with Jones is a personal situation and a private matter that he would not discuss with the media. Still questions as to whether or not he will be ready to go for the Raiders in their opening game. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, join me, Kelvin Efon, Glenn Howe at Soul Sports from noon to 3 Saturday for the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We'll get you set for Arizona, the Wildcats, and Mississippi State. Kickoff will be at 4:30. Our presence there sponsored by Coors Light, official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. There is nothing like game day at Arizona, and game day will be in Starkville, Mississippi this week. Let's chat now with the voice of the Arizona Wildcats, Brian Jeffries. And Brian, a new experience. This is only the second time these two teams have ever met. The first time was last year, so you are going to call a game at a stadium where I would imagine you have never called a game before, and that's not an experience that for a man who's been around for 36 years gets to do very often.
No, it'll be a new football stadium. Went to Starkville, 7 years ago for baseball, so drove by the stadium, the football stadium, but was not in it, obviously, and looking forward to it. It's a great college town, great atmosphere. They'll have close to 60,000 on hand to watch it, and so it's fun going to new places like this, and I think the folks down there are excited to see a Pac-12 team come to town and look at it as a game that both teams are trying to find out what they're like. I mean, last week they both beat FCS teams, so I don't think they showed a lot, and we're going to learn a lot more about both, I think, on Saturday night.
Now, obviously, this is not the first time you've been to an SEC location. You've been to several throughout your career. Do you get a sense that it's different, when you go down to play teams in the South?
Well, I certainly know when we went to LSU, it was a different atmosphere. I mean, first of all, you got 90,000 people there to begin with. And you could tell from the minute that we drove into the parking lot, hours before the game, and they're chanting "Tiger Bait" at you. And of course, then they, LSU won the game. And then as you're leaving, they're saying, "Hey, good game. Nice to see you. Have a great season. See you later." I mean, they're very nice after the game. This will be, I think, a similar situation. Not as many fans, and of course, the whole cowbell thing. When we were down there for baseball in 2016, the Wildcats faced the Cowbells there, and it's different, but I don't think it's anything that's going to change the game. That's just part of their tradition down there. So the fans take it I think SEC football fans take it very seriously no matter where you go. It's a big deal, certainly in a small college town like that. You've got fans coming from all over the state and probably beyond to watch a game on Saturday. So it's a great atmosphere.
The voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, is joining us. It's Arizona at Mississippi State on Saturday with kickoff at 4:30. Brian, what were your impressions of game one? We saw a lot of action down on the defensive, really both sides of the line. We saw the defensive line very active, a number of guys making plays down there, which is what you like to see. And the big horses on the offensive side, man, I think the thing that most impressed me was how they were galloping downfield on some of them screen passes looking for somebody to hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said all week, David, that all three phases played a big part in that game: offense, defense, special teams. And that's what you love to see when everybody has a hand in it. But most of the eyes were on the defense to see what they've been able to rebuild since last year. And I think the early indications are very positive. bringing guys in from the transfer portal with experience, and they showed that, swarming to the ball, as you said. Johnny Nansen able to use, I believe he said, 10 different linemen in that game, and that's one thing that was missing last year was the ability to keep guys fresh and rotate them in and out. So all in all, good effort. I think this week, again, you're facing a much bigger, stronger team in Mississippi State, so it's going to be, double trouble, I guess, as you could say, for those guys inside. And I think even more so, you look at the secondary, which still has some young guys back there, and, they won't have Gunnar Maldonado for the first half and some other guys banged up. So I think the front seven really needs to kind of exert its will early in the game on Saturday if Arizona's going to come away with a win.
Brian, this is a football team in Mississippi State, obviously under a new coaching staff. Zach Arnett has taken over after the death of Mike Leach. Leach was a coach, obviously, we were very familiar with during his time in the Pac-12 conference at Washington State. Were you ever able to have any personal interactions at all with Coach Leach?
Oh, just in the media gatherings, nothing one-on-one, but certainly being around him at media days and so on. He was one of a kind, there's no doubt about that. An extremely smart man, and not just football. I mean, very well-read, a worldly type of guy. I think everybody knows the stories about him and, his love of pirates, etc. He reads a lot of books, and so, you really miss him because he was different, he was unique. I think college football, it was great to have him because of what he was able to do on the field and an offense that, just isn't run very much. And it's not being run by Mississippi State anymore now that he's passed away. But really a guy that I think all of football hated to see go too early.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Obviously, Will Rogers returns at quarterback for them, was the guy we saw last year here, and he threw the ball very well, especially in that second half when the Bulldogs kind of started to pull away. But they're running the ball a lot more now with the new Zach Arnett regime.
Yeah, and they have a really good one in Jacovius Marks, who was over 100 yards last week. And he is not only an outstanding runner, he's one of the best pass catchers you're going to see. I think he and Michael Wiley could probably get together and talk things over. I mean, Marks caught 48 balls last year. He's already set a school record for catches by a running back. I mean, in school history at Mississippi State. So, yes, they're going to run the ball because that's what Zach Arnett wants to do now with the offense that he has changed over. And he's a defensive guy, but they wanted to make a change, and they've done that. So they're going to run the ball. They brought some tight ends. I thought the interesting thing is, David, that their best tight end last year, they moved to wide receiver and brought in some new tight ends this year because they need that in a running attack, and yet they were used strictly as blockers last weekend. And so, like I said, both coaches held some things back, and I think both were able to. And I'm really interested to see this week what both Jed Fish and Zach Arnett do, in particular on the offensive end.
So, Brian Jeffries joining us. Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats. What's travel day like for you, Brian? A lot of people always wonder, okay, so you guys get up at what time and you're on the road, and how does that work from your standpoint?
Well, most of it's dictated by the football team. And so, we'll fly just after noon tomorrow into southern Mississippi, about an hour south of Starkville, spend the night there. And then Saturday morning, we'll head to the stadium. I mean, I usually like to get there at least 5 hours early, and we're going to a venue we've never been to before, so we'll probably go even earlier than that, just because you never know what you're going to run into technically and your setup and everything. So we'll get there plenty early, and that's okay. I enjoy that because once we get everything set up with our equipment, then if there is extra time, and normally there is, you get a chance to kind of wander around and soak up the atmosphere and see what the tailgate parties are like and that sort of thing on campus. So, hopefully we'll have a chance to do that. And then, we'll on the air an hour and a half before kickoff. And when the game's over, it's a mad dash. I mean, we finish our post-game show. We pack as quickly as possible. We're usually running to the bus because, they're not going to wait for us. Let's put it that way. When the team's ready to go, they go. And so, and believe it or not, we have been left behind before. So, and this is one place you don't want to get left behind. So we go as quickly as we can. And the nice thing is that you get home same night as the game, and get all of Sunday off. So that's the good part about it.
You want to tell the story of who left you behind?
Well, let's see. It happened. We played. It was in Las Vegas. I can't remember. I think that was the bowl game, maybe against BYU.
Oh wow!
And I just remember we packed up, and as we're standing at the elevator, which was kind of an outdoor elevator leading down from the press box, and I'm seeing the Arizona team buses leaving the parking lot. And so that was one time. Now, fortunately, in Las Vegas, there's plenty of cabs, and they were all lined up outside the stadium to take the fans, and so we just grabbed a cab and made it to the airport in plenty of time. Got left behind at the Coliseum in Los Angeles one year. Kind of the same thing. We saw the exhaust of the buses. They had to bring a bus back to pick us up, which did not go over well. But that's otherwise, I don't know if we would have made it. My all-time favorite, David. Now this is back prior to 9/11 when airports were not so secure. It was at Oregon, and we'd actually played at Oregon State, and we had a rental car in that situation because of the logistics there. And I knew we were running late, and the traffic from Corvallis to Eugene on a 2-lane road is tough, and I was getting concerned. And we got to the Eugene airport, and I could see that the buses were gone. The plane was sitting there with the door open, but nobody was around. And like I said, this was pre 9/11. I drove the rental car onto the tarmac and left it there, and we got on the plane and made it. We were the last ones on, and let's put it this way, another minute late, and they would have left us.
Wait, you drove the rental car onto the tarmac? How did that happen? How did you get even to that far?
Well, like I said, I mean, these are the days where small airport, found an open gate and just drove in there and left the car with the keys in it and figured, well, nobody's going to steal it, right? So it worked out in the end. That's all I can say.
Wow. That's got to be in a book somewhere, Brian. Seriously, you got to put that in your memoirs.
Well, that's one certainly to remember. Mike Stoops was the head coach at that time, and I just remember, he wasn't happy because I think somebody might have told him we weren't there yet. I don't know, but like I said, we were the last ones on the plane, and we got the glares like, okay, guys.
That's one when you don't look at anybody, you just go to your seat and sit down.
That's it. That's all we did.
Brian Jeffries, he is the voice of the Wildcats. Brian, safe travels tomorrow, and we will hear from you from Starkville, Mississippi on Saturday afternoon.
Sounds good. Thanks, David.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats. It's Arizona and Mississippi State. Network coverage begins at 3 o'clock right here on Wildcats Radio at 1290 with kickoff against the Bulldogs at 4:30. All right, coming up next, we are going to be having a contest. It's the first ever Wildcats Radio 1290 Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. Get your fingers ready. Caller number 5 is going to get to play against me in a game of my choice for a $25 Miller Lite gift pack. That's coming up next. But first, we get you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Reported collisions, golf links near Wilmot on eastbound golf links as you approach Wilmot, Valencia and Palo Verde. Also Twin Peaks and Silver Bell, some earlier southbound slowing on Silver Bell at Twin Peaks. Possible collision on State Route 86 near San Joaquin. New wreck dispatched in Oro Valley at Oracle and First Avenue. 76 and partly cloudy overnight, 106 for tomorrow. Mostly sunny, 103 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of
Wednesday night, 3-star linebacker Sifo Aquila announced that he will be committing to the Wildcats 2024 football team. Aquila has been playing both quarterback and outside linebacker during his time in California, but Arizona will be bringing him in as a defender with his 6'3" frame, 230 pounds, causing havoc for them probably next season as a freshman. Congratulations to Mr. Aquila. And North Carolina Tar Heels will be without wide receiver Tez Walker for the remainder of this season, as Walker had his appeal to the NCAA denied after he was rejected with his waiver as a 2-time transfer, even though both his old schools in NC Central and Kent State filed waivers in support of him. Tar Heels coach Mac Brown ripped in the NCAA, ripping this entity, saying, "Shame on you," in a very long and detailed statement that was released on the team's Twitter page. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you in the next 20 on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, it is time for the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. Right now, if you are the 5th caller at 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290, caller number 5, you get to pick an NFL game coming up this weekend against me. I picked the game that we're betting on here. You, however, get to make the first choice in who you pick in that game. If you win, you are going to win a $25 gift card packet from Miller Lite. If you do not win, then that $25 rolls over to next week, and in week 2, we'll be playing for $50. All right, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. We're starting out, David, with a rivalry game here in week number 1.
Oh, yeah. Which one? We've got a lot of them going on.
Well, yeah, there's quite a few.
There's quite a few going on. Because we got the NFC South opens it up, Carolina versus Atlanta. That's a big one for Bijan Robinson. Again, Tucson zone, trying to figure out if it's Bijan or Bijan. We'll see what happens in the first play call for him on the national airwaves, because that'll be the one that we'll hear for the rest of time. Then you got Cincinnati and Cleveland, an AFC North battle for your Browns going up against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow says he's a good-to-go for that game, so we'll see how his calf holds up against Myles Garrett and the rest of that team. Again, Zadarius Smith, the new edge rusher in Cleveland, potentially going to add a little bit more pass rush to Cleveland's defense this season. And then you look at a couple of other spots around the NFL. You've got the one big one, the oldest rivalry in football, the Packers and the Bears.
The Packers and the Bears. Nothing like that ball game. There's a lot of memories tied up there for both of those fan bases. Just some great. And tonight, Kansas City taking on Detroit. So, hey, if you're a fan of the Chiefs, I want to hear from you today. 520-848-1290. We got a short show, so we got a few minutes here to hear from Chiefs fans. If you love the Detroit Lions, want to hear from you. 520-848-1290. How happy, how excited are you for your team? Where are you watching the game tonight? That's what I want to know. Is there a Chiefs bar here in Tucson? We're putting together a list. We're gonna have all the NFL places to watch games. Hopefully we'll have that done here in the next week or two. So we'll be able to tell you if you're a fan, if you're just moving to the area and you don't know where your team is or where to go, we'll be able to tell you where to go. You'll be able to go to WildcatsRadio1290.com and just see. We'll have a page dedicated for all the NFL fan clubs. You can and links to all of your websites if you have a website. So call us or email us, studio at Wildcats Radio 1290, studio at Wildcats Radio 1290, and let us know if you've got a fan club. If you got an NFL fan club here in Southern Arizona, let us know where you guys are watching the game so we can make sure that we have you connected with fans that might be new to this area. All right, we have got caller number 5. And is it John Balina?
Yes, sir.
John, how are you today?
Doing good.
All right, you're on Wildcats Radio 1290. This is the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge, Week 1. Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm from Tucson, but I'm on Mount Lemmon right now.
Oh, you're on Mount listening up on Mount Lemmon. Who's your NFL team of choice?
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears. How about that? Because you know what game we're picking, John?
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. That's perfect because I think I know who you're picking.
I'm going to take the Bears. I think the spread's only about 1 or 2 points.
There you go. It's got to be a game, and that's probably, folks, what it's going to be weekly. It's going to be a game that's a tight game, maybe a 1 line or maybe even a 1.5 line, because I got to try to make it as even as possible because we actually want these pots to roll over. So John is going to take the Chicago Bears, which means I've got the Green Bay Packers. And if John wins, John, if you win, you're going to take home a $25 Miller Lite gift card and have a chance to really stock up your refrigerator for NFL Sundays. Now, do you guys have a bar in town? Is there a place do you go watch the games at a Bears bar, or where do you watch the games on Sunday?
I don't go regularly, but Craft Republic.
Craft Republic. Okay, that's a good spot. That's a good spot right up there by the old Foothills Mall, which they're tearing down. I understand it's going to be like a condo complex now. It's going to be really nice, but Craft Republic is an excellent place to watch sporting events of all kinds, and especially NFL on Sunday. All right, so is that where the Bears? Do you guys have a club there? Or is that just where you go to watch the games?
I've been with a few friends of mine in the past. There's just a group of people in the room. It must be some kind of club. I don't know. Okay, so not maybe not anything official like the Southern Arizona Bears or Bear Down Club or whatever that. You ever feel bad? You ever get mad that Arizona has a Bear Down and you guys have a Bear Down? You ever get mad about that? No. How long you been in Tucson? I don't even relate.
No.
The Bears with the Bear Down phrase. I've lived here my whole life. Lived
here your whole life. So you're not? Are you a U of A fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, then you wouldn't be mad about it. All right.
The only reason I like the Bears is because my father was from Chicago and he was always a Cubs fan and a Bears fan. But when Arizona got a baseball team, I started rooting for Arizona.
Okay, so who is give me your top 3 Bears of all time?
Oh, probably Ditka. Yeah. And I actually introduced him and Teddy Bruschi at one of the Mike Ditka. No, it wasn't Ditka. Who was the other one that they had the it was a golf tournament, the ladies tournament.
Here?
Yeah, I think it was Ditka.
I don't know. Ditka had a golf tournament here in Tucson?
Well, it used to be a Pro-Am before the ladies tournament.
Okay. Yeah, I do believe they had an LPGA tournament here at one time. Now, give me your other top 3 Bears that you love. Walter Payton?
McMahon. I always liked McMahon.
Jim McMahon? All right.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
And oh man, I got to think of one of my favorites.
Refrigerator Perry,
the other linebacker was it?
Dick Butkus,
great.
Mike Singletary.
Butkus is the one I introduced to Teddy Bruschi.
Oh, there you go, Dick Butkus. That's 2 mean linebackers right there. All right, John, hang on the line. J-Dub is going to get your information. We'll reconvene with you on Monday and talk about what happened, okay?
Sounds good. I'll be listening.
All right, John Balina. He's got how ironic is that right there, Dragon Ball, that the game that I chose was the Bears and the Packers, and he was a Chicago Bears fan.
Now, that's actually hitting the nail on the head. I don't know if you can get much luckier than that with that setup. And look, right now, it's about a game. It's appointed in favor of the Bears right now going into the weekend. So I like their odds. Again, Jordan Love is going to have to do a lot of proving this season. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him under center. A new era in Green Bay. Seems like we only go through this once every 20 years of a new era in Green Bay nowadays. But it is the start of a new time. And with Justin Fields, I mean, hey, if he can't go, I have all faith in the world in Nathan Peterman.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, they've had 2 quarterbacks in Green Bay over the course of how many years was that between Favre and Rodgers?
Favre was early 90s because he was around the same time that right at the end of Sterling Sharp's career. So he started pretty early in the 90s. We'll go all the way through to, I want to say it was at least mid-2000s because I want to say the 2006 season was his last year in Green Bay.
Yeah, 2007.
So you get 2007. You start your career at about 92.
Wow.
So you got almost 2 decades.
Wow.
There was a few years there before he became the Brett Favre.
So that's 31 years. 92 to 2000 through 2002. That's 30 years. 30 years, 2 quarterbacks?
30 years, 2 quarterbacks, yeah.
Wow.
And there was a 3-year overlap there, right?
And how many Super
With
Bowls?
Favre starting and
Rodgers on the
bench, yeah.
Two Super Bowls between those two?
2 Super Bowls and 3 appearances because, again, that's three appearances, 1 win over the Patriots, 1 loss to the Broncos, and then 1 win over the Steelers for Rodgers, and that was his only appearance.
That tells you how hard it is in this league that you could have 2 guys play the quarterback. Hall of Fame. Both those guys are next stop, Canton, Ohio.
Has there ever been a guy who started 10 years with the same franchise that was happy that franchise drafted a quarterback in the first round?
No.
Ever.
Never seems to
that
happen.
writing is never on the wall. It's never okay, I'm in my mid-30s. I got enough money to go buy a private island somewhere. No, it's that pride and that competition. Those guys. And obviously, Roethlisberger had that, but it seems like Green Bay, that's all they ever do, right? Is draft quarterbacks high when they've already got an MVP level quarterback as their starter. That's what they do.
Meanwhile, in Green Bay, you draft that quarterback once in maybe about 10, 15 years, but with this franchise, you have to go back, DK, to 2002, the last time they took a wide receiver in the first round. The last time the Packers took a wideout in the first round was Javon Walker. Jeez. So needless to say, neither of those 2 quarterbacks got a lot of what you would describe as prime help during the heydays of their career. Although I have to say, Devontae Adams is not a bad get outside of the first round if you're the Green Bay Packers.
It's actually 31 years because 92 to 2022. So 16 years of Favre, 15 years of Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers was
out of those, and then there was the 1 year in 17 when Rodgers got hurt, and the kid from UCLA, Hundley, led them in passing. But other than that, it was either Rodgers or Favre led that franchise in passing.
Needless to say, Brett Favre has the greater lineage.
Brett Hundley.
Brett Favre has the better lineage of backup quarterback compared to what Rodgers did because Rodgers had Flynn, Hundley, and a couple of other guys. Meanwhile, you had Mark Brunell, Matt Hasselbeck, and a lot of guys that ended up becoming starters for other franchises around the NFL that were backing up Brett Favre during his time in Green Bay.
I like Favre's the starter before Favre got there.
Oh, yeah, the Magic Man.
Magic Man. Yeah.
Majowski.
Yeah, he was great.
Majkowski. Yeah. Those were fun times.
I was trying to look it up because you're talking about the longevity of the Favre to Rodgers dynasty, but I was curious how many starters they might have had right before Brett Favre took over. And yeah, I mean, Majkowski was 4 years, Randy White for a couple of years, Lynn Dickey.
I was going to say Lynn Dickey was one that I remember hearing the name when going back in the history books of that because he was like James Lofton's guy for a long time in Green Bay.
Unbelievable stuff right there. All right, coming up in the next hour, we'll hear from Kelvin Ifan, our Arizona insider. We'll talk some Wildcats and Mississippi State Bulldogs. We'll get you set for the Lions and the Chiefs at 5:20. Our coverage begins at 4:30. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Busy afternoon, reported collisions Valencia and Country Club. Earlier crash clearing at Valencia and Palo Verde. Also reported Bear Canyon and Tanca Verde. In the clearing, Oracle and First Avenue. Twin Peaks and Silver Bell. Also eastbound golf links to the west of Wilmot. 76 and partly cloudy overnight, 106 tomorrow, mostly sunny, 103 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Valero. Start saving on the road with Valero's 100 Days of Summer. Get fuel-saving snacks, swag, and more every day all summer long. Only with Valero Pay Plus. Download the app and start saving right now. Additional terms and conditions apply.
This summer, Coors Light wants you to retire, even if it's only temporary. Take a break from your 9 to 5 for 9 holes of golf. Trade those spreadsheets for a bingo card. Or swap your office chair for a water aerobics floaty.
Cool noodles up, everyone!
This summer, welcome to temporary retirement. Coors Light, made to chill. Copyright 2023 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's a breaking news report as we go live with Al and Ruthie.
Thanks, Bob. Goodfellas is buying back AC units.
Yes, and that means everyone saves big on a new AC.
There you have it. Goodfellas doing good things.
It's the Monsoon Buyback Special with savings our 1,000 plus 5-star reviewers expect. Right now, Goodfellas AC will buy back your current unit for up to $3,000 towards a new AC. Conditions apply. Go to GoodfellasAC.com to find out how. Good service, good prices, Goodfellas.
The Wildcats play here. This is your home of Arizona Wildcats football, men's basketball, and baseball. This is the home of the Wildcats. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Wake up, Eugene! You're gonna be late again!
Go away, Doug. You're interrupting my dream about getting new tires installed.
Weekend of athletics is starting up around the University of Arizona. The Wildcats soccer team will be playing the nightcap of today's Arizona Classic out of Mulcahy Stadium as they take on Texas Tech with a chance to hand the Red Raiders their first loss on the year. The Wildcats volleyball team also will be going on national TV on FS1, trying to shock the world as they try to face off with the top team in the nation in Wisconsin. Good luck to the ladies out in both of those contests. And after winning a national title with her alma mater, Kim Mulkey is going to come away with a pretty nice paycheck out of it, as the LSU women's basketball coach will now be staying in Baton Rouge on a 10-year, $32 million contract, which now makes her the highest paid woman in all of NCAA women's basketball. That's your 2020 sports update. We'll have more for you in the next 20 on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
National Football League action is here. The season starts tonight, and we already have an interesting storyline developing with this ball game. The inactives are out for game number 1, and Travis Kelce is on that list of inactives for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that means that Tucson's Matt Bushman is active for tonight's game. He's going to get to play, and this might be, if I'm not mistaken, this might be Matt Bushman's first season opener in the NFL. He was not active for the Super Bowl last year. Got a chance to go down to Phoenix and chat with him during Super Bowl week last week. He was incredibly humbled to have an opportunity to be a part of that team last year and to play, or at least have a chance to go into a Super Bowl. And now he's going to have a chance to start a season opener, or not start, but at least have a chance to play in a season opener for his Kansas City Chiefs. Matt Bushman out of Sabino High School, played his college ball at BYU, has battled a number of injuries throughout his NFL career, but now has a chance to potentially get on the field. I don't think he has actually caught a pass yet in an NFL, in a regular season NFL game.
I'm not too sure if he has. He's appeared in 2 games back when he was with the Raiders, but he was released with that team back in December. And coming off of injuries and stuff like that, like you said, DK, last season in 2022, he had a broken clavicle, or fractured clavicle, I should say, that had him be released from the team in 2022. Now made his return to the club, got to the practice squad, and now has a chance to play on opening day. So a big congratulations to Matt Bushman being able to fight his way back from that in an injury at a point in his career where a lot of guys probably wouldn't have been able to come back onto a team after having a season-ending injury that took out that much of his development time.
And the sad thing about that broken clavicle last year for Matt Bushman was he had already caught 2 touchdown passes in that preseason game. I mean, was having a big game. And then his last catch of that game, I believe he had like 6 catches for 117 yards, 2 scores in that game. He goes down and breaks the clavicle and essentially was out for the majority of the season. And I believe he was re-signed, if I'm not mistaken, he was re-signed to the practice squad not too long before the end of the season, because when I spoke with him in February, he had only been with the team for about 3-4 weeks. So got a chance to go back. And that again, that's kind of the roster semantics. That's kind of how it works a lot of times. Like, he said he basically knew that he would be going back. It was just a matter of when he was healthy enough to go back, they would re-sign him. So great opportunity for Matt Bushman tonight to have a chance to appear in his 3rd NFL game and maybe even get a catch, his first catch in the National Football League. Incredible player out of Sabino High School who played for Jay Campos with the SaberCats. I can remember watching him play in high school. I mean, kid just had length, a lot of length. One of those kids who's actually gone out of here and had a pretty successful time at the collegiate level. So good to see Matt Bushman. When you mentioned the clavicle, had a knee injury his senior year at BYU that's kind of slowed him down as well. But having a chance now to be a part of Patrick Mahomes and all the glory that he will bring. So that is our question of the day in terms of Patrick Mahomes. And he's never thrown an interception on opening day in the National Football League. How many years has he been in the league now? This will be year 6.
As a starter, he's been the starting quarterback for now going into 6 years. It'll be his 6th season as the starter on day 1.
All right, so will he throw an interception tonight against the Detroit Lions? I say that he will. I've not voted in this yet. So I will vote in it. But right now, 100% of you saying he will not throw an interception. J-Dub, will he throw an interception tonight? Patrick Mahomes?
No. 49 career interceptions.
Okay.
He knows when to throw it away. And that's the scary thing is that offense does not force him to make hard throws. He just makes the hard ones look easy.
49 in 80 career starts.
Wow. And you would think the way, he's so unorthodox with some of those passes.
Like sidearm, right?
Yeah. I mean, flinging
shovel
stuff,
passing.
sidearm and shovel passes, you would think he would have a few more mistakes in that respect.
Do you think because baseball was a big love that has something to do? I mean, you're a baseball guy, DK. I mean, the feel, the touch you have on the ball as a pitcher, something about those sidearms, he really gets some good flick on those balls that a lot of quarterbacks who try that while they're going down, they don't make it look near as nice as he makes it look.
Well, I think that's one of the things he talked about in Quarterback. The Netflix show was kind of how his baseball background, he feels, helped him progress as a quarterback.
I feel like if there's a position in baseball that will help you to be able to throw the ball from unorthodox angles and still have control of it, as much as it would be for pitcher, most people would think pitcher because of just how much you're trying to dominate and how hard you're throwing the ball. I honestly think the best position to learn how to throw unorthodox would be shortstop, because at that spot, you're having to do the backhand tosses, you're having to do underhands, you're having to jump and throw over a guy when he's trying to slide into you on a double play. There's so many different angles you have to throw the ball as a shortstop, because that's primarily what you're there for is defense. So I think if he had a little bit of shortstop history in him, I would not be surprised. That may also be just coming from the fact that I played shortstop when I was a little kid, and my love for the position will always show.
How many interceptions did you throw, Dragon Ball?
I was never trusted to play quarterback. I was the guy that I had one year where they tried to have me intercept the ball, and that did not go well because I also could not run. I could not run to save my life.
All right, Dragon Ball. So what do you say? Is he going to throw a pick tonight? Will he throw a pick in this game?
I don't think he will throw an interception today. In the end, the big thing for me right now is that the Lions' defensive backfield is a little bit suspect for me. They have a great front four. Don't get me wrong. Aiden Hutchinson, to me, is going to be one of the top 5 pass rushers in the NFC this season. I could probably estimate maybe 13 sacks for Aiden Hutchinson this season. But Cameron Sutton, Kirby Joseph, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Jerry Jacobs, to me, that defensive backfield, not one of the better ones in the NFC. I don't know if they're going to have as many opportunities to get after guys in the passing lanes. They're going to be doing a lot of man coverage, and you know as well as I do, DK, man coverage doesn't always lead to interceptions. It's get the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of chances to take chances when you're playing man coverage.
All right, so Dragon Ball says no. J-Dub says no. I say yes. We'll see how it all works out tomorrow. We are going to be live tomorrow, Cholla High School, for It Is Almost Friday night. Come out and join us. We'll be there. The big rivalry between Cholla and Pueblo. We want to hear from all of you that are affiliated with those schools, how excited you are for that big ball game tonight as we kick off week 4 of the high school football season. The Cholla Chargers and the Pueblo Warriors. Nothing better when those two schools get together on the gridiron. We'll take the show out to Cholla up there on Star Pass Road. It'll be a 3 o'clock show. We'll be out there from 3 to 6. We'll stick around a little bit for the game, which will start at 7. Should be a lot of fun. It always is when Pueblo and Cholla get together. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Again, we've got a little bit of a shorter show today, and when we come back, you're going to hear from Kelvin Ifan in our Arizona Insider segment. This is DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Keller. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hi, everyone. I'm here on my computer with artificial intelligence ChatGPT.
Hello, human male announcer.
Chat, we have some questions.
I have answers. By the way, you are very handsome.
Well, thank you. First question. Do you know of any place besides Tobacco Barn where you can save up to 40% on your favorite tobacco products?
Only Tobacco Barn offers up to 40% off, and you're very sexy.
Okay. Do you...
And slowdowns at Oracle and Roger Road, Oracle and First Avenue, Bear Canyon and Tanque Verde, some westbound slowing Bear Canyon and Tanque Verde, Nogales Highway north of Old Nogales Highway with slowdowns on Nogales Highway north of Old Nogales, eastbound Golf Links approaching Wilmot, Valencia and Palo Verde, and also Twin Peaks and Silver Bell. 76 and partly cloudy overnight and 106 tomorrow, mostly sunny and 103 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has big savings on everything for school or the office. Save on school essentials like notebooks, pens, and crayons. In stock and backed by Staples Price Match Guarantee. In-store only. Visit staples.com/price match for details. School on, save on at Staples.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
One of Tucson's owns will be suiting up for the reigning Super Bowl champions tonight as tight end Matt Bushman, former Sabino SaberCat, was activated to the Kansas City Chiefs main roster from the practice squad. Tight end Travis Kelce will be out after he suffered a bone bruise earlier this week, so hopefully you changed out your fantasy lineups. The Diamondbacks said the top prospect Jordan Waller will be with the team for the remainder of the year, and he is going to start today, hitting in the 8th spot for the Diamondbacks. Again, Torey Lovullo had said that Lawler would be the team's shortstop going against left-handed pitchers for the remainder of the season. That's your 2020 Sports Update. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have more for you on DCAM the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
And we're pleased to be joined by the captain, Kelvin Ifan, our insider on Thursday. And Kelvin, NFL football starts tonight. How excited are you for that?
Oh, man, I'm pretty excited, man. You get a chance to get football back on TV. You had the college start up last week. They had the 0 week before that. So get some professional football. It's going to be fun to see.
Now, you're obviously from Texas, so, who do you follow? Do you follow you're from Houston, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or Dallas? Dallas, yeah. Okay. So do you follow, are you a Cowboys fan growing up, or what was your team?
You couldn't be nothing but a Cowboys fan when I was growing up. Everson Wall, Tony Dorsett, come on now. I'm from Dallas, man. My grandmother got me into the Cowboys, so that lets you know how that go.
All right. Well, we'll see. We actually will have Dallas Cowboys football here on Wildcats Radio 1290. It'll be the Sunday night football game as the Cowboys will head to the New York Giants. Week 2 for the Arizona Wildcats, Kelvin, a road trip to Mississippi State, going down to the SEC. How much do you think that weighs on these players going into, obviously, that's what everybody in college football talks about, how tough that conference is. Do you think that weighs on players when they know they're going down there to face an SEC team and wanting to perform at a high level?
I actually don't. I think it motivates you. It actually raises you up a notch because you understand as a player, you have aspirations to be an NFL player. You understand that the SEC produces the most NFL players. So this is what we call professional tape. This is our chance to show versus some of the guys that are going to compete against the Alabamas and Georgias of the world that look what we did versus Mississippi State. So it's a great opportunity a lot of times. That's what you really look at it as, is an opportunity to go show, what the Pac-12 is all about.
Did you guys play any games down there on the road at all in your time?
We didn't. We played at Ohio. We had one at Ohio State.
At Ohio State. Okay.
Yeah, at Ohio State. So that was a Big Ten country, but it's similar.
What do you remember about that particular game day for you?
I remember just that the Ohio Stadium was ridiculously big. I mean, it was a lot of space in between the field and the stands, so it wasn't really loud. It didn't bother me that way, but it was just crazy to see 10,000 people at a football game.
Kelvin Ifan joining us. He is one of our Arizona Insiders, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light, an official sponsor of Arizona Athletics. There is nothing like game day at Arizona. And Kelvin, we talk about the running backs, and I think after going back and watching the tape for Saturday's win over Northern Arizona, I was really impressed with it seemed like Jonah Coleman had a different gear in his burst than what we saw last year. And obviously a lot of that has to do with the fact he's been in the program a year. They've got him on that, the weight training and the speed work and all that. But it definitely showed up to me in game one, not just running the football, but also the way he was able to catch the ball and move.
Yeah, that ends up happening a lot. A lot of times with college athletes, there's a huge jump in between their freshman and sophomore year because you know what Division I athletics is like. You know what the competition is like. Now you know exactly what you need to work on to get better. And I guarantee you, he went into that running back room and coach talked to him and said, hey, you need to be a little bit more elusive if you want to take some of those snaps away from Michael Wiley. Think about it. And then right there, you also got Speedy Luke right behind him. So you got to show that when you're on that field, you're not just a blocker when you're in the backfield. You have to be a guy that can hand the ball out to and a guy that can affect the game in the passing game against these linebackers, as you saw with Dion and the kid Edwards. When you got a mismatch with a running back and a linebacker, great things can happen for you.
All right, so Kelvin, I think a lot of us agreed that the Wildcats, didn't really want to show a whole lot in that game against Northern Arizona in preparation for this game against Mississippi State. Offensively, what do you think we're going to see on Saturday in Starkville?
I think we're going to see about 40 passes. I think Coach Fish loves to throw that ball around. You got a quarterback coach, man, and he's the head coach. He's the head guy. And anytime that you have that, sort of like Mike Leach, rest in peace, when he was the coach at Texas Tech and Washington State and on the Mississippi State, like to throw the ball around a little bit. So the running backs better be ready to catch some passes out the backfield because I think he's going to get that ball out of there. And one, because a huge defensive line, defensive front that Mississippi State has. A lot of people got to understand Mississippi State, out of their 22 starters, they have 18 guys that are seniors. Okay, so we're playing a veteran group that played well together, that were recruited together, that's been there together for a while. Man, they're going to be tough to beat. So they beat us here last year. Not trying to discourage anybody, but I want people to understand what our guys are actually facing. It's not just going to be easy because we just beat NAU.
Absolutely. Kelvin Ifan, our Arizona insider, joining us. We gave out some game balls earlier this week. Kelvin, I want to go through yours. You gave your offensive game ball to Jordan Morgan. What most impressed you about Big J Morgan in the first game?
Well, what most impressed me was he hasn't had a lot of contact. He's coming out of injury to his knee, which is tough to come back from. And then just seeing him out there on the field, he's a senior leader. He's the guy that's played the most games on that offensive line. To see him get through that game solid and protect the quarterback, I just felt like that I just had to give him that nod at the beginning of the season.
And on defense, you went with Bill Norton. What was impressive there?
You know what? You had a big senior lineman, made a few plays in there, but he just was big in there, and we haven't really had big guys in there. So it was nice to see a big 6'4", 300-pound guy right in the middle causing havoc, giving the linebackers opportunities to make plays downhill.
And you gave your special teams game ball to Tyler Loop, and I'm assuming that was because he tried to go in there and take somebody's head off, which I have told him he better not try to do that anymore.
Well, that is not why I gave it to him. If you listen to me, I'm all about the long run, and I don't want my kicker or my quarterback, trying to be a linebacker or a fullback. That's not their job. We all have jobs to do. Let's do them. But no, it was the touchbacks. I mean, he really 6. That's going to be important. That's going to be important. He had 6 touchbacks. I mean, out of 7, I believe. That's going to be huge in a game where you get ready to play against Mississippi State and they have the best kick returner in the nation on their team. So you want to keep that ball out of his hands. You want to keep that offense having to travel 75, 80 yards downfield to score a touchdown, and he did a magnificent job warming up versus NAU to get ready for the real thing.
Our Arizona insider, Kelvin Ifan, is joining us, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is the official game day sponsor of your Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there is nothing like game day at Arizona. And when you look at this first road trip, Kelvin, kind of walk the folks through what's in the mindset in terms of, like, you get as a player from the standpoint, you getting ready to travel. You've not, some guys maybe have not necessarily been on a plane before. I mean, did you ever come across any of that where guys had never flown until the first time they got on a plane to go to a road game?
Not many but a few of the guys maybe second or third time. A lot of guys' first flight was coming into their recruiting trip, right? And then their next one was, probably flying here to go to school. So it's probably their third flight and probably a lot of times your farthest, get into that first game.
Yeah, you ever find any guys that just they didn't really like to fly and that kind of thing, and it kind of maybe unnerved them at all, and then you got to kind of have to get on the ground and get your bearings back to get the mind right to even play a game?
Well, this football again, we all walking around acting super tough, and we wouldn't let anybody know if we was feeling, because I wasn't afraid of flying, but it wasn't my ideal thing to be doing, right? So again, you don't let anybody know, because we got to be tough, man. We gladiators, we getting ready to have to go against other tough guys, man. So no, man, a lot of times those type of emotions you keep to yourself, and you just hold it down. You look around and you say, you know what, everybody else got to get on this plane, so I guess we're all right.
All right, two big potential guys that may not play. Obviously, Gunnar Maldonado is not going to play the first half of this game. Traden Stukes is still questionable whether or not he'll play. What are you looking for the guys that are going to have to step in there? Obviously, Martell Irby played extremely well. That takes a little bit, though, away from your depth now when you've got to get, maybe who, depending on who they put in there to replace to replace Gunnar. It might be Genesis Smith. Obviously, Dalton Johnson also played as well. But that lessens your depth, obviously, when you've got to play those guys. And that was one of the things I thought was interesting that Johnny Nansen talked about last week. He said, yes, we're going to play a lot of linemen. No, we're not going to play a lot of defensive backs because of the timing that's involved in that aspect of the game.
Yeah, but when I was on the sideline, I seen a lot of guys rotating, in there, and I didn't know if it was from injury or if it was something that they had planned. So, Coach Keenan's on that sideline, so you got a veteran guy that's over there that's going to help them shore that thing up. I thought Ivory did a great job. Martell, filling in for the injury. I thought he was going to probably get a lot of playing time anyway, with the pace that these teams are playing with and how many receivers that they're actually playing. So, and then this week versus Mississippi State, a physical team that really loves to run the ball as well. So those DBs are going to have to show up in the run game as well and get guys on the ground. So, yeah, man, you hate to be thin going into those games. You hate to lose senior, not senior, but guys with experience like those guys have. But at the end of the day, man, this game is about next man up, man, and it's an opportunity for the next guys to make something happen.
All right, Kelvin, we'll talk to you on Saturday from Casino del Sol.
All right, man, see you guys.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day at Arizona.
All right, it'll be a 4:30 kickoff. Our coverage is going to begin at noon on Saturday from, I mentioned there, Casino del Sol. That is where we will be for the pregame show. That'll be from 12 o'clock until 3 o'clock, and then obviously the network will take you from 3 to 4:30. And then kickoff at 4:30. We'll be back after the game. Our presence at Casino del Sol is sponsored again also by Coors Light, the official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there is nothing like game day at Arizona. That's going to wrap up our time here. Thanks to J-Dub. Thanks to Dragon Ball and Cricket. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. NFL football is next. The Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you Friday from Choya. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself.